Winter an Ceiliúradh, Carda agus Clown Catherine, Faran fáilte criúil mór roimh galéir. Go dtí an ihe speisialta Ceiliúradh seo de Catherine Janacek Frost. First of all, to thank the Ballincollig Youth Band, who were joined by former, some of them very, very former members of the Ballincollig concert band. And they were under the direction of Maria Mulcahy. They're under the auspices of Cork ETB School of Music. And just to say that she set the scene so wonderfully, agus Tommy Danavech, Gurnina Mahagavsha. So before we begin also, just to draw your attention to the fire exits at the top of the house, Tríd an Doras, a Hanna Shibishtach Tríd, agus an son Héad Manaida Clay, agus Héad Manaida Dishe Hís Levéil Shaw. As well as that, just to let you know that our event tonight is being broadcast or being streamed, is the word, streamed live on Twitter. For those people abroad who just weren't able to get here, they'll be able to see the show live. The word Ceiliúradh is synonymous with Catherine, and also it's synonymous with our school. And what better way to celebrate 27 years of Catherine being with us than through music, song, dance, and Cúplishcéal Cuma. Now, Carda, you may be familiar with the poem An Tuide le Séamus O'Hay. And in some part of the verse, he says, even Céirdan ide mar Charanor lá Uil. He talks about the lovely craft of the teacher, like a gardener on a July day, who changes the glory of growth from sunshine to harvest. That is to say, the teacher who sees and who releases the potential in her students. And if you look at our mission in Coláiste and Coláiste Film, it's to create the context where this miracle of growth can happen for each person. And so I think it's fair to say that Catherine, since she joined us in September 1991, has embodied everything that this school aspires to. And so I'm going to ask Oisín Chun to join me. Our session Dalta Idirlína Gaithláiste, and he will introduce the first chapter in Scéal Catherine Ide an Ceiliúradh gur Mahagah.
I stand here now as a representative of all the student body, past, present and future, because the legacy of Ms. Frost has left behind will ever endure. The 110 strong group of students standing here behind me did not happen by chance. They represent a lifelong embodiment of nurture, creativity, vision, and a sense of fun, which is infectious. And those of us who knew Ms. Frost will know that we never saw a frowning Ms. Frost, and she was always smiling. Every student felt relevant, and their contribution was always valued. No matter what their musical style, Catherine, in her unique way, managed to fuse together her classical students, those with traditional background, budding rock stars, and more in these epic performances which have travelled the country and indeed throughout the world. If you can think, it's possible. These performances travelled from the waterfront in Belfast to the City Hall in Cork, from the National Concert Hall in Dublin to the University Concert Hall in Limerick, not to mention the INEC, Farmley, City West, choral festivals, and as far afield as Prague, Barcelona, Edinburgh and London, giving her students the most valuable cultural experiences which last a lifetime. We thank you, Catherine, for all your guidance. As a teacher, Miss Frost not only taught us, but immersed herself in performance alongside us. Her pleasure in performing with our trad band and choir, her guidance and her passion elevated all our performances to a different level. For the inspiration and lifelong memories, Miss Frost, this performance is for you. So, Tarnish doing initiative tour agus shining.
So, just some people have been asking where on Twitter to actually find that stream to send on to your relatives near and far. And it's on Twitter at MULCAHI2. Somebody lost the keys to the school official Twitter account, so we had to use my one instead. That's at MULCAHI and then the number 2. Okay? John gets it's there now.
Dave Manushla, no pressure following that, lads. Assume we were all that talented when we were in school. So, I think some people might think that there's a perceived death of culture in this country, but I don't think that can ever be said about Colasculm. Colasculm has a music scene that is second to none in terms of a school anywhere in Ireland. And I would say even towns and cities across the country would love a music scene and culture as vibrant, as diverse, and as creative as the one nurtured within these walls. This musical ethos has more or less been anchored by one person over the last couple of decades. So as well as being an incredible musician, this is a person who has an infectious smile, laugh and humour, and has an incredibly generous spirit. So I think you define this person as inspiring, and of course I'm referring to Catherine Frost. Given who my father is, I more or less grew up in this school. Once Cultural was opened in 1995, I think that's truly when the musical odyssey of Colasculm began. Before I even became a pupil, I idolised all the performing students who I saw in musicals and at competitions like Sloga and Oireachtas, under the direction of Catherine. People are often asked, what's the first gig that you ever went to see? Mine was actually at the 1996 Colasculm Battle of the Bands as a 10-year-old caught up in a mosh pit. Listening to Paul and Deirdre Frost here belt out Metallica Seek and Destroy. So the moment that I got in here then, my very first memory is being asked by Catherine to represent the first year group on a pilot music technology project, along with some other past pupils you will see actually performing here tonight. This project ended up with a group of Colasculm students composing and performing at the European launch of the Apple iMac in 1998. Looking back now, that's a phenomenal thing to ask a bunch of teenagers to do, but me and Catherine had no hesitation in giving young people a chance to shine and be creative in music. Herself and John O'Connor nurtured a group of woodwind, percussion and brass players of Ballincollig Concert Band, the core of whom were all Colasculm students. This fed into the mighty sound of a full complement of student players that characterises every Colasculm musical from Jesus Christ Superstar to the present. One of my favourite times of the year is always getting an annual text from Catherine asking if I'm available to play in a Colasculm musical. And every time I come back, I'm always struck by the participation, the level of energy, the standard, and the smiles of TY students that seem to just get bigger and bigger year on year. If anything, Catherine is guilty of including everyone who wants to play in musical orchestras every year, whether they be present or past pupils, or never even a pupil at all. Dad often had near heart attacks coming in to see the dress rehearsal and thinking the band was nearly going to outnumber the audience. So, further afield in 2003, Catherine brought a group of us to Prague. Group of 5th year and 6th year students. Needless to say, crack was had. Not least a riverboat trip on a Saturday evening and a session going down the Baltava River, anchored by Mona Weencon. Beyond performance, Catherine encouraged composition. Whenever it was run, the National Chamber Choir always invited students around the country to compose a piece for it to be performed by the National Chamber Choir. Colasculm always had a strong, like the old scientists, the highest representation about any school, and these pieces were performed in Dublin, where they picked for the final. The pieces were such a high standard that Catherine picked people's compositions to be performed by the choir for years ahead, including my sister Lisa's. But of course, in 2000, I believe, Ciara Burnell won the Ultimate Prize, and the preceding year, Paul Frost here, dubbed the next Benjamin Britten, won the competition as well. But on a day-to-day basis at school, Catherine always was at her most fun, or maybe some might call chaotic. I remember myself and Shane here did a TY elective module, and Catherine comes in one Monday afternoon and just tells us there's a Radio on the Gaeilge competition there to compose a 5-minute segment for radio. So we'll do that, will we? One double class later, where tape is on its way out to West Kerry. But Catherine has an appreciation of everything creative. Nothing is too mad to try, and no student is too mad to try it. So, I mean, I found quite an apt quote recently from the singer-songwriter Lisa Hannigan about creativity. The whole thing about creativity is that you have to try things as they fly into your head, without judgment, because the Judge Judy that sits on your shoulder is what stops you from writing anything down and keeps the page blank. So, on a personal note, I suppose it's rare for students to kind of keep in contact with teachers after they leave school, but a lot of people would regard Catherine as more than a teacher and a friend. A few years ago I was asked by a non-music friend to perform at their wedding, and there was no one else that I thought to think of accompanying myself than Catherine Frost. The opening song was Joni Mitchell's song Both Sides Now, which I couldn't really attempt to play on the piano, but given that Catherine's youngest grandchild, I believe, is named after Joni Mitchell, she jumped at the opportunity there. Didn't even need any music, and absolutely honoured in a couple of weeks that Catherine offered to play it myself and Lane's own big day. So without further ado, we have Seamus Sullivan, Eamon Nash, Paul Frost to perform a medley from previous musicals with particular significance of the choice to the performers involved. So, Catherine, you're really welcome. Thanks for the memories, thanks for the encouragement, but above all, just thanks for being yourself. mention that that was completely arranged by Mr. Paul Frost there. So I was asked to introduce the next act. This man is a music educator and teacher in his own right, in his daytime job, and other than that he's been making waves both here in Cork, on a national level and international as well. He's a singer-songwriter. A couple of years ago he participated and won an international songwriting competition, and which was judged and has gained the attention of such luminaries and legends as Bill Withers and Tom Waits, to name but a couple. So I give you Mr. Jack O'Rourke.
Just like to say congratulations, Catherine. The last time I was up here was in, I think, 1999, performing in chess with Katrina as my wife. It didn't work out well. I'd just like to say, as a student of Coláiste Colm, I got such an incredible grounding in music of all types, from trad to choral music, to classical, to rock, to jazz, and I didn't really appreciate it at the time. I was a typical kind of angsty teenager, and I remember Catherine constantly trying to encourage me to keep going to choir and trad, and only now, being a secondary teacher, I know how hard it is, and you know, between Sean and Lillian and Carmel and Catherine, I was so lucky to be a student here, and I'd just like to thank them for that. Thank you. This is a Tom Waits song, and I'd like to imagine Catherine and Paul kind of singing it a few years from now.
Phone's off the hook. No one knows where we are. It's a long time since we drank champagne. The ocean is blue as your eyes. I'm gonna take you with me when I go. Since gone. Now way back when we lived in Coney Island. Ain't no good thing ever dies. I'm gonna take you with me when I go. Far, far away. The train was so close. Wherever you go, wherever you be, waving goodbye at the end of the day. You're up and you're over. You're far away. There inside that house, there's a woman. And in that woman there's a heart that I love. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. I'm gonna take it with me when I go. Go Guardians, Patrick.
In 2015, Bancroft brought us together to enter the Ceiliúradh competition. Lomana is made up of Maeve Kane, Oisin and Molly O'Connor, Warren Kane, Hugh O'Connor, Sarah Leakey, myself, Alana Nicola, and Brian O'Brien, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight as he is studying in Canada. And I cannot forget Mr. Hoonan, who is helping us out tonight with the piano. Has devoted her years here in Ceiliúradh, not only to teaching, but also to nurturing and guiding us students in a variety of musical genres. And luckily for us trad musicians, she ensured that traditional Irish music flourished in our school. We will be forever grateful to this marvellous gem of a woman who gave us so many wonderful opportunities in music. We'll never forget the fun, laughter and crack we all had playing together. Tonight we will play 4 tunes, the first being a new jig composed by Warren called Almost Frost, in honour of this beautiful occasion. Followed by Queenie Keane, a slow piece, which was also written by Warren, in remembrance of the anniversary of the Great Boston. We will then finish off with a blast of reels. Van Frost, we are so blessed to have had you as our teacher, and we cannot thank you enough for what you've done. Mar Darren tú féin, ceol go Joe, go raibh míle maith.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As a pupil of Christ King Girls Secondary School in the 1980s, there were two real important ones for us as students. By the grace of God, that you'd meet a boy from Cree Street in time for your deaths. But way more importantly, that by ultimate good fortune, that you were taught by Catherine Frost. As teachers, we are advised to be the person you need when you were younger. And for me, as a 12-year-old, Catherine was that person. Her classes were passionate, energetic, but filled with kindness and care. Her big brown eyes and beaming smile that seems to be the talk of the night, as she drummed Peter and the Wolf into us, telling us, you'll be grand girls for the junior cert, or inter-cert as it was called. And her choice of Greased Lightning for our school production, which bucked the trend in the 80s. It instilled in us a passion for music, but in my case, teaching that would last a lifetime. When she left us in Christ the King during our third year to have a series of her greatest productions, Deirdre, Katrina, Sinead and Paul, we were bereft. So picture my excitement and delight nearly 30 years on when I walked into this school in April of 2012 and discovered that was where she was gone all the years. Inspiring generations of students with that same verve and zest for life. I am now lucky to count Catherine as that teacher, colleague, and friend that we should all have. Thank you for it all, Catherine. And let us now look at the tribute paid by those students that she has inspired. Thank you.
Great teachers change the world, one student at a time, by helping them find their path inside and outside the classroom. To her, it's no big deal, it's what she does, but it's a big deal to her students.
In my first week at Coillte I was too scared to join the trial group because I thought Mrs. Frost sounded too scary, but I'm very glad I got over that and just wanted to thank you for being part of so many of my most special memories at Coillte and I want to wish you all the best for your retirement.
Because of yourself and Mr. Lehan, I can still remember the tenor line to Cantate Domino.
Just meeting are now class at Coillte having flashbacks of our shop.
Making calls, and right here waiting for star A. Swear.
I'm King Marshall.
When you know the notes to sing, you can sing most anything together.
Began the Performing Arts School Coillte Lisa agus my other sin fós ag chana agus fós ag cuma ceol agus ag scríomh scéalt agus ag aisteach den amí agus an chomhbuíocht de Catherine mar tú takeíocht dom nuair a hastig sin agus stoch go tú bhfuil dom túir féin.
Hi Catherine, congratulations on your retirement. I just want to say that because of you getting me involved in musicals at school and the choir and the trad band, it really inspired me to become a full-time musician. So thank you so much for everything that you did and for getting me back to play even when I finished school. I hope you have a lovely retirement and enjoy the rest of your night.
Regarding this girl, I know no better woman more able to whip up a concert overnight. So I remember getting a text at about midnight the night before producing in the IEC in Killarney for the Teachers' Conference. And so this text pops up, Catherine Frost.
Hi Marin, any chance you could learn the song for tomorrow morning? The YouTube link is there and we're told it's the concert. So I think thanks is due to you, Catherine, for my now relatively quick learning skills.
There's some líon na bhlianta scoile is iad na machtaí ceolfar a aigear tú na háanta sanna ar gcuinín. Ug tú grád an ceol don goléir agus don i brí go dóda tá sin. I méid an héide an rís. Míle buchas na rís I bhuiine chuin.
Catherine, it only seems like yesterday that you expertly guided me through the lives of Oklahoma, let alone 17 years ago. But even back then, you embodied everything that is great about inclusion without even knowing you were doing it. You expected the same high level of performance from me as every other student, and that made me want to be around you as much as I possibly could. I dodged as many classes as I could so that I could be taught by you, and we had so much fun and craft together, and sure, it was always alright in the night. Happy retirement, and thanks for everything.
Catherine Frost. You are a true inspiration to girls and women who hope to work in the music industry. You gig, you teach, you make hats, and you do it all with a classy, funky smile on your face. Thank you for continuing to be my hero. Love you.
Cógard is Catherine, má bhain tóghaige agus Frankisha Scoil Creamón Efa. As my French and Irish teacher, I have one outstanding memory of your courage and your compassion when you introduced yourself to us as second years and extended the ear of confidentiality to any of the girls who were struggling with problems. Now, you were very young yourself. You were still Catherine Yannick, not yet married. And it showed incredible strength of character because you didn't know the potential of what you might have been involving yourself in. I've always had a really warm spot for you, Catherine, as a lovely lady externally and also within. And I wish you a fantastic night. Now just let down your hair, kick up your heels, and just well study go feel that sus the glack and the nish. Slán the phone.
It's like a kid left at my first communion all over again. Okay. In 1992, Catherine Frost, Lillian Garnahan, along with John O'Connor, staged My Fair Lady on Pat Kinsela's famous tie-together tables in the main social area. And with that began the Catherine Frost era of musical theatre in Ceiliúradh. 29 shows later, Catherine has had an untold influence on an indeterminable amount of students. 29 shows. That, by anyone's standards, is some achievement. When I asked a few former cast members to describe Catherine in one or two words, the following are just a sample of what they offered. Most could have written essays, of course. Beautifully mad, motherly, ceolfar, talented, vibrant, gaelach, galchorach, a beacon of happiness, wonderfully weird, Cinálta. I couldn't have put it better myself. What an incredible collection of adjectives. What a legacy. Cinálta, or kind, resonates in particular with me. Catherine's humanity, kindness and good humour have nudged many reluctant, fearful would-be stars onto a stage of limit possibility. From the ensemble to the principals, she has created an atmosphere where undiscovered talent can emerge, where the rough can be polished and the outstanding showcased. Never mind the kids. I myself have learned so much from working with her on 11, almost 12 shows. Ronan Houlihan and I were discussing only recently how much she has positively impacted our teaching style and how her cléine, her inclination towards the relaxed, the kind, has on plenty of occasions caused us to pull back on the abrupt, the impulsive and the harsh. In fact, If you were to look at our 3 booklets of scribbled notes after show auditions, it would support what I've said very well. Now, Ronan and I, we're really lovely people, genuinely. But we will, when required, use words like pitchy, lack of expression, disinterested, and Catherine, always seeking the positive, will have words like bright face, smiley, nice look for those same students. I remember one particular student who wasn't really suitable for the part she sought, and Catherine, in an effort to offer something positive to the discussion, came back with, sure, her sister was a lovely singer. Catherine's constant recruiting is legendary. Working on show, looking for choir members, in choir rehearsal, looking for show principals, recruiting reluctant teachers to take up minor roles on stage, and so on. The first time I met Catherine was on that very stage, in the form of a transition year mimic called Rob de Rochta. And his skit involved Catherine meeting him on the Gael Colossta stairs and asking him to pitch random notes, and then eventually satisfied when he hit something that could pass for music, informing him that choir rehearsal was on Tuesdays and Thursdays, a big break, and they needed boys. And she is still zealously recruiting, even this year during show auditions for a choir that is now in other formidable and capable hands. There is a great word in Irish for a group of people working together side by side to get a job done. This word, mehel, perfectly describes our show team and the way in which we manage the huge task of staging our shows. Our mehel has always strived for professionalism, high standards, cooperation, and plenty of crack. And Catherine certainly brings the crack. I could genuinely go on all night if I were to talk about all that I have learned about and from Catherine Frost in 12 years of shows together. And I'd be well able to, but I'd say Caught would fling something at me, so I will try to synopsize. Catherine has taught me what singing down in your boots and letterboxing mean. Neither are good. Catherine is highly allergic to folders, highlighters, post-its, Polly Pockets, and organisational and timekeeping devices and aids of all kinds. Catherine will always have left something a muss savother out in the car. Much to the cast's disappointment, Catherine will not find their perfectly timed, brilliantly executed line or gag funny in any rehearsal, but she will explode with laughter when she finally gets it on opening night, and again every night until we close. Catherine doesn't enjoy sleeping at night, preferring to make a few casseroles while creating a few hats and texting myself or Ronan to suggest that we perhaps take all the lads tomorrow between the breaks for a sing-through. Catherine does, however, enjoy the odd snooze during the most vibrant song during Mamma Mia in a packed point depot with our TY students, and on the train home, and during the odd TY startup meeting, or any meeting. Catherine will always haul around a laptop, a huge set of keys, more gear than she can carry, a jacket, a very long scarf for some reason, and a very small handbag containing a large volume of pieces of paper with very important information scribbled down. Catherine will always find the good in everyone she meets. Her zest for life is infectious and has spread to students and colleagues alike. She will strive for excellence while not compromising on kindness and understanding. Catherine is the ointment when our mehel is wounded by tiredness, weariness, or disillusionment. Catherine, you are positivity personified. As a past pupil said to me a few years ago, you were either born Catherine Frost or you're not. You can't become her. It is said that we are all dispensable. I don't entirely agree. While a position can be filled, and filled wonderfully, the essence of what one person brings to a role will always be different from that of another. Catherine Janacek Frost has brought competence and kindness, and in my opinion, they are a winning combination. Gomara Tuinkir, Catherine.
Briefly, before we embark on something which we think is a fitting tribute to Catherine, I'd just like to say, my name is John O'Connor, by the way, and it was half a lifetime ago when myself and Catherine, I think, did our first show here, My Fair Lady, I think, and ever since then, I have to say, it's been a complete joy to come back every year and to help out with the shows and to play with them and to see these fantastic children and staff here in Ceiliúradh. Catherine understood very early on, as did I and a few other key members of staff, how important musicals could be to the life and the spirit of a school, and especially to the students who were involved in them. Some people, the musical in transition year was a life-improving and a life-changing experience. And in tribute to Catherine, we've put together a medley, and we, in the true spirit of Band Frost, we've done this in an hour. This is featuring past pupils going back further than NASA would care to mention, from every era of the musicals here in Ceiliúradh, and many of the musicians who have played over the years as well. So, in your honour, Catherine, les Misérables.
Thank
things come in pairs, but that doesn't always ring true because both of us started on the very first day in Ceiliúradh. But another teacher that started at the same time who was very much linked with music was Ceiliúradh. Fiona can't be here, but she sent this email, so I would like to read this to you, Catherine. Little did I know when I first met Catherine in 91, almost 30 years ago, that her musical genius would play such a huge part in my life. We began to work together on a few small bits, as she used to call them, for the local competitions. These few small bits took weeks of work to create because, as everyone here knows, Catherine will always go the extra mile and indeed beyond it to achieve perfection in everything she does. Shortly after this, we were to produce our first musical, Oliver, together. In those days, there was no cultural or stage, and we used to make a stage out of tables taped together in the old assembly area. And our biggest fear was that not that someone would fall off the stage, but that they would fall through it. I would like to take this opportunity to apologise to Catherine for the millions of times I'd roared at her during rehearsals to stop the music. And she would have to stop a 30-piece band mid-bar, only to be roared at 5 minutes later to start at the exact same spot when something on stage had been fixed. In addition, I would like to apologise for the number of times I asked Catherine to cut out a huge section of a score that she would have worked on orchestrating all night on the night before. Of course, we all knew she never sleeps. In the 12 years of working with Catherine, I can honestly say that she never once raised her voice. She would smile serenely, and with that twinkle in her eye would say, "Sure, it'll be grand." I would like to thank Catherine for all the joy and fun and music that you brought and still bring to my life. Gan na blag creigil sa dáin na bhíon fleharta go bhfuil sin fitriocht ag ceol na mara. Níl dát ar dáin ach go bhfuil gach duine ar bhfuil léiríomh faoi dríoch Catherine Frost agus ag bheith ceol. Catherine gur míle mála. We will have the second part of tributes from our dear Lottie, Beloved.
Hello, we're all doing. Come on,
you. I hope you enjoy your retirement, and if nothing else, there's a whole generation of Tottenham children who now sing with a Cork accent.
Congratulations, have a brilliant night. Sorry I can't be there.
Die guten Morgen, Tomaten schon downward happy. Never going to happen.
Students here who don't know me, I'm Jack O'Rourke's ex-wife. So we're all Captain Frost's children, her family, and we'd like to say, Carmina Mil Bach, we're past the question from us. It's really great to be back here for a great old send-off, so thanks so much for having us back. Officially our time here was when Derga started in '92 and when Sinead left in 2005. But of course we've been in and out here many times since then. So we actually don't play together very often as a family band. I think the last time we tried this was for Dad's 60th. And the time before that was Dad's 50th. So it's a bit risky. So like having said that, we play together quite often. Booked for the same gig or whatever, but we very kind of awkward instrumentation. They all play bass instruments, so we are really grateful for Mia Cooper to be joining us. Superstar, my brother Paul's partner, and she's the mother of Catherine's grandkids, Ida and Joni, who you saw in the video. As well, we'll be joined by Tommy Buckley and past pupil Stephen Kelly. And we're going to do a bit of everything. It's going to be like a little tapas style concert, going from Baroque to Chandos, Latin jazz, and surprise at the end. And we're going to start with the girls doing, Mia, Sinead and Derda are going to play a movement from Telemann Trio Sonata.
This is the low point of the evening. Tá sé go húntaach siú gréir eismint an sá an measatá ar Catherine is right. Agus so bhuilim se an sá ar an ábhar cíanna ach tá an cudé dhéanamh sí fan óránín beag. Tá sa bh stópa gur bhíon chéling tanna an tí ag bhaile, so tá an órán beag ráil a dála mís do bhúlé Ngailtocht, Corkery, Lekia Deal in Stocha. And it's kind of a national anthem in our house because it tells of married bliss. Whatever that is. So listen carefully to the words and you'll get the formula for permanent married bliss. And if you don't get all the words, I'll be selling translations after for €1,000 a go, but it's cheaper than a divorce. Agus bím se sein ceol, bín partini béle gan Rexfalde ó Rexfaldre edel lady. I've got to tell you one thing. Catherine's second name is Marion. So she's Catherine Marion. So if I'm singing in the song with a girl called Maida, it's not the one 2 doors down, it's herself. August time should the Maida, Catherine Yantrick, a Sawston or Nigan, on us a good marching or an altar of Anaha. Hook shishu raw, harmonize her fair thumb. This whole is her life is good broad these parties being shine fjol being partini belgam Rexfalde o Rexfaldre edel lady. She mechelish and Maida Catherine Marion on side van full vashul the lost on clear vinous on Páiste Haskell. Stoken alive ke Pirani di Prabernig Ekenet Piles the Kron and Dan Veen Bean Shine Kjol Bean Partini Bede on Rexfalde O Rexfaldre Edel Lady. This time I left tonight is far in Malaysia, park to high a hargen kahru akara. Ta katam, ta ruber befasam, a harvish natach, a fels and saw, you vecke me a big beach shine jol. Being partini bed on Rexfalde o Rexfaldre edel lady. Where's the bend? Pattori of Foss in regarding the slachte Ulis bin nine agus Kurini darga Talinder Molet the Rahman Pashke Sophis Mishla Babiston Van Red Beach Shankol Being Partini Bed on Rexfalde O Rexfaldre Lady Cherry. I hope that was a trombone, was it? Cherry Arvik across the Scupperin, the land of Tashin, and Potter da Aspirin. Nor the hooky line of the night of just a friend, the dog of your life shink, an art of power has beds to shrink y'all. Beg Partini bed on Rexfalde, oh, Rexfaldre lady. Agus beds to shrink y'all. Beg Partini bed on Rexfalde, oh, Rexfaldre lady. He
things about Mom that you might know. While she was teaching here and doing everything that she does here, one year she decided to take up German while teaching full-time and raising us. In '94, these skills were greatly beneficial when Mom and Dad decided to drive us all to the Czech Republic to meet our relatives. So the round trip took about a month in our little van on the family holiday. So she played organ at Mass every Sunday, and just to make it more interesting for herself, she composed a brand new responsorial psalm 5 minutes before the Mass began. Mom and Dad, they founded the Inscar Plumo Band Twinning. She made all the curtains in the house, hemmed her trousers and skirts, and all that crack. In recent years, she took Czech and Spanish lessons, and she started playing the concertina from scratch just like 2 years ago. She did this. And she has also become a millionaire in recent years. This is actually crazy that I'm the same person. She's making so she's making bespoke hats for all occasions, just to let you know. And while they were raising all of us as well, of course, they were both gigging away mad at the weekends. So yeah, it was kind of ridiculous house when we were growing up. Mom was actually really surprised we all turned out to be full-time musicians. So as a parent from the start, we weren't going to do anything else. Because none of us could get out of bed. It was holy war every morning trying to get to school with the 4 of us. I don't know how she did it. Yeah, we were that bad that they told me not to stay in this club. On Christmas morning even, they had to come in and wake us. Mom had a day's work done before she even left to mascara every morning. But so I think in the last few years it's been really peaceful and kind of having her marmalade on toast and chilled out morning. So anyway, we're at the party continue and we're going to do a Latin jazz number with everyone and party on.
this one. Thanks, Crush the Crowd. And we're going to finish with this one. Good Times Roll.
Christian on Dukish, tree hula and quit, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I think another round of applause for the Birth Cross family. pupils who have gone on to pursue careers in music. You are not only performers, as we have seen tonight, but also conductors, arrangers, and composers. Catherine forged links with many outside bodies, including composers in the classroom for both Cork Choral Festival and separately for Chamber Choir in the National Concert Hall, winning the competition on several occasions. Paul Frost was an early recipient of this prize. Another former winner was Owen Oyasunig, who has gone on to be very successful with several commissions each year for international choirs. I would just like to say that although I never actually had Miss Frost as a teacher, her enthusiasm, her passion, and her encouragement impacted me in the most positive way that a teacher can impact a student. Throughout my time in school, she has just been such a positive light for so many students. So thank you, Ms. Frost, for your constant encouragement and for putting a smile on the face of every student that you meet. Our next piece will be a wonderful surprise for Ms. Frost because Owen Oyasunig himself has gifted this composition. We've invited past choir members to join in this choral arrangement of Seamus O'Hay's very special poem on Tidda. I'd like to read this for you before the performance. Úsal caird an Ida, mar rí imel trá, chuir tí na sothig is heol go hoscailt bá. Even caird an Ida, mar gar nóir lá úil. Dastrigh scíobh na scuithe ó bríonán go huair. Uignach caird an Ida, mar bhóthaín lé féin, tar éis imacht a cluine, thar tuairisig again. We will finish off our celebration by inviting some friends and indeed you, our audience, to join in two very well-known songs to say a massive thank you to Miss Catherine Frost.
Tonight has been a superb tribute to a truly amazing lady. And I think all of us here tonight have been touched over the years by Catherine's passion and zest for life and warmth and energy and of course her multi-talents. And we all felt that her retirement after 27 years in Ceiliúradh Gael Ceiliúradh needed to be marked. And I want to thank those who made tonight happen. So before we go all, we'gus mór go bháil leis an bhuiste a dagrig an ócéad speisialta seo. To our outstanding Ryan Keogh, Carmen, Ronan, Sean, Marion and Rory. To Ian Mulcahy, our stage manager and technical expert, to Rhea O'Sullivan and Coit Bernach for their Trojan work in bringing us all together. Garina Monk and Will Prayer. A big thank you to all those who performed and contributed tonight, to our amazing students and past students, to Catherine's wonderful family and so many friends. And I want to thank all of you for joining us for tonight's celebration. Please join us in the staff room after for some refreshments. Students, I think there are a few pizzas in the library for you. Tonight will not be complete without hearing from Sam Frost herself. So I'll ask Catherine to say a few words. And before that, I'd like Sarah Leahy to come forward, please, and make a presentation to Sarah on behalf, to Catherine on behalf of us all.
Well, talk about feeling the love. Needless to say, I'm completely overwhelmed, and one of my bugbears always is that you don't spoil a night of music with a speech at the end, sorry Pat, sorry Michelle, and here I am now talking. But it would be remiss of me not to say something because, oh my God, it was the best night of my life, I'd say. It beat the 60th, and it beat the wedding, it beat everything. That was a pretty small affair. But really it was just unbelievable. And I've had such a, if you úntaach ar fad an samagán, bhí sé go díal ar fad hosting mé leis an Gael Ceiliúradh agus ar a dearm bhís moine Christ King ar dúis. I was teaching Christ King and when I had Sinead, I decided to give up, not because she was difficult, but it was just, I thought it'd be nice to stay at home with your children for a bit. They might agree that I was there all the time, however. But it was actually, I met Gabriel O'Connor because they were going to the Gael school, and Gabriel said, "Cáilig oscail Gael Ceiliúradh hís an Sonic Ceiliúradh Colm, Dúireach sé sin ditse. They're opening a Gael Ceiliúradh town in Ceiliúradh Colm, that'll suit you." So little did I think afterwards, but it was truly, truly magical night. Cóiltríocht dúin, na Cardigan ar Eshkent, Iar Scolari, and those gorgeous little videos and all the trouble that people went to, I just can't quite believe it. And the magic of having all my family in the one spot at the one time. So you've Katrina, Paul, Katrina, I forget their names, Dear to Paul, Katrina and Sinead. Dear to Paul, Katrina and Sinead, and dear to lovely husband Steve, all who are Iar Scolari and Gael Ceiliúradh. And Tommy Buckley, who has been playing wonderful guitar in the last few shows, quite a few shows we've had. And Mia Cooper, who is always a pure inspiration, not only for her violin playing, but also for those lovely two children. And Nina's thought things to take Eid agus Joni Frost, for a meal we never know how I must have. I obviously must mention the long suffering as well. into school first and teaching. What I was saying earlier in my head, like, I mean, what I did wasn't hard really. Like, all I was doing was talking in Irish and maybe a bit of French or whatever, and singing and playing all day long, and we got more what you want. So, in fairness, like, it wasn't hard. But I must pay tribute to all the staff who were always so encouraging, and in particular to the music department. It was with Lillian first and John Murray, who were brilliant, and then John O'Connor, who was constant support and inspiration through all the years. And then next in was Sean, and Sean was always such cooperation and backbone. And I said, Sean, I was thinking, you're doing something tomorrow, what do you think? Drive on, girl, drive on. And in fairness, we always drove on, it'll be all over next Thursday. And in the midst of all the chaos there was. And then after that thing came Carmel, who was delighted to work with. I actually did 8 shows with Carmel. There were 4 juniors and 4 seniors. Naomi's, of course, was our favourite, I'd say. I have to say. Well, we loved them all really, actually, in fairness. Seven Price was pretty good too. I was looking at David Nash there earlier, they were talking about composing in the classroom, and I remember Eamon up in the room up there, locked in for 2 days. Remember that, Eamon?
I do.
Writing your piece for the choir. And dodging classes, obviously. But following on that, then, after Carmel was always a delight to work and sing with. Ronan, fantastic altogether. And when Ronan came to the school first, he wouldn't sing a note. And now he's singing like a lark in all his classes, which is fantastic to see. And he started off rumbling, then he became a bass, and now I think he's a tenor, are you? He's a tenor.